The last meeting of these two clubs brought the end of an era. A Bournemouth win at Goodison, not enough to preserve their top-flight status. And the man who'd made it all happen for them was shown the door. Whilst Eddie Howe's now looking down from the top three of the Premier League, these two clubs reconvene with the Cherries pretty much back where he left them. A point from the dotted line in the table. Another hard-fought relegation battle looming large. But the same is true for Howe's boyhood heroes Everton. It's the subject of increased angst on Merseyside and, as is often the case, angst and speculation go hand in hand. And that's ramped up the stakes for Saturday's league meeting of the two clubs here, which adds an extra dimension to tonight's aperitif in the Carabao Cup. Bournemouth, red and black striped shirts, black shorts, red socks. Everton in their traditional royal blue shirts and white shorts and socks. And it will be Bournemouth that will get the game underway, kicking from left to right in this first half. Ball played back for Mepham, who's launched a high one forward right down towards us, and Tom Davis just eases Christie out of the way underneath it. It's out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the left-hand side by Ruben Vinagre. It is a back three that Everton are playing, but Holgate's playing on the left of the three centre-halves with Michael Keane on the right, and the returning Yerry Mina in the middle. Alongside me, Jim Proudfoot here in Dorset tonight, is the former Ireland international David Connolly. Where's this game going to be won or lost, DC?
Well, I mean, look, I think both sides have got nothing to lose here, so hopefully it's a really open game. As you touched on, it's been pouring down, so the pitch, the grass, the ball zip along it, and fingers crossed a nice open game. Plenty of goals, been scored of late at Bournemouth, no problem, which was an issue for Gary O'Neill's side, but obviously keeping out the other end is an issue as well.
Yeah, they've thrown away more leads than Barbara Woodhouse, Bournemouth. They've got to make sure that if they get their noses in front in this one, they can get the job done, which will give Everton and any other side that are playing them heart. Ball's out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Bournemouth right-hand side here by Jack Stacey. Stacey level with the edge of the Everton penalty area. Just nicks a couple of yards, throws it into the chest of Christie. Stacey getting the return ball, but Tom Davis can poke it away. Laid back by Gordon and whacked forward upfield by Garner, who's making his full Everton debut tonight. That's gone out of play for a Bournemouth throw. James Garner, a player who was so impressive in that loan spell at Nottingham Forest last season, and Frank, I know, delighted to have him, but just hasn't really been able to find a way of getting him into the team. No. 20 minutes here and there.
Yeah, that's right, and this is what this game affords him, I guess. He's playing a little bit deeper than he would normally play. I mean, he's playing as a sort of holding midfielder today.
Well, they have got Gordon on the left and Mopé on the right. Split strikers up front for Everton. A chance for Zamora to make his way down the Bournemouth left. 0-0 in the early stages here on Talksport 2. Mina heads the ball away. Comes back out for Stacey. Stacey couldn't get on the end of Christie's little cushioned layback to him. And Everton will be able to bring it away. Good play firstly by Vinagre. Now down towards Gordon. Gordon firing it back at Holgate, who controls it neatly. From him to Yerry Mina. And then Mina across the defensive line to Michael Keane, who's making the 350th appearance of his career today. He's been stuck on 349 for some time. A frustrated figure who's only seen 20 minutes of Premier League action so far this season. Got a little bit of history in this competition as well. A couple of quarter-final appearances for Everton, and you might remember a famous Manchester United loss at Milton Keynes a few years back with Louis van Gaal in charge, and Keane making one of his rare Manchester United appearances that day. Everton in possession here. Mopé playing it forward, and an early opportunity to try and get some bodies going down the right-hand side. It's flicked on towards the edge of the penalty area. It's a good run by Patterson. He toe-poked it towards Gordon, but Bournemouth had enough bodies back and are going to be able to clear relatively comfortably with Anthony, and he'll play it for Zamora. Now Jamal Lowe twisting 10 yards outside the penalty area. Back he goes from him to Anthony again. Zamora making a run from left back in support, but Anthony will just bring it into a more central area, work it back towards Mepham. Keeps his place in the starting lineup tonight because he's suspended for the weekend game coming up. Stevens to Stacey, and back through the midfield for Ben Pearson. Now down for Stacey again. Davis has cut that out, but it's bounced off him and gone out of play for a Bournemouth throw. 0-0.
Yeah, and when they've pick the ball up wide, Bournemouth. They look up and it's landed a Giants in that Everton back line. You know, Mina's massive, Holgate, Keane, and at times they cross the ball in and you just think, well, what chance of success have they got, Bournemouth? And maybe they might have to be a little bit cuter, maybe a little cutback cross or work their way into the box, just be a little bit clever rather than just slinging the ball in the area.
Well, over on Talksport 2, news of all the goals as they go in, with reports from the stadium at the moment that the goals happen. We'll keep you up to date with the scorelines here on Talksport 2. And in the Championship, Queen's Park Rangers lead Huddersfield, bottom of the table, by a goal to nil. It's taken Lyndon Dykes less than 2 minutes to score his 6th goal of the season. And Stoke lead Luton 1-0. Nick Powell has scored that in the 3rd minute of their game. We play 4.5 here. It's Bournemouth 0, Everton 0. And the ball is out of play by Christie, just shepherding it away from Vinagre after touch came off Neil Mopé. First corner of the night goes Bournemouth's way on their right. Yeah, that was clever. That was the best they could have hoped for.
I mean, look, he's not going to start Kiefer Moore tonight, but, you know, his sort of game against that big Everton back three, someone like Kiefer Moore will be really useful. As it is, Jamal Lowe, slightly different sort of player.
Yeah, slightly. Left-footed in-swinging delivery, which Lowe is able to flick on, and he's claiming another deflection. Officials, if there was one, didn't see it. It did look as though it possibly just touched a little touch off Vinagre on its way through. Lowe, who's about our height as opposed to the Kiefer Moore stature. Just a deft little near-post move, and it did look as though it just flicked off Vinagre, but the decision has gone Everton's way.
Well, I tell you what, Vinagre is like a statue there at the near post. He didn't move at all as Jamal Lowe got across him, and better contact from Lowe there, and that was a chance of scoring.
He hasn't been able to make any real impression in Everton colours, Ruben Vinagre, in his loan spell so far. Former Wolves man. It's only his 4th appearance for the club today.
Well, when he's got that job at the near post, you've got to have eyes in the back of your head. Make sure you see that runner coming across who didn't have a clue where Jamal Lowe was.
Holgate just given a little shove by Lowe. He's then stopped Lowe making a run towards the ball, but by fair means not fouled. Davis has given it away as he looked to play it back towards Holgate, who did enough to pressurise Lowe, stopped him winning it cleanly. Stanislas running onto it, couldn't pick it up. And then in the next phase of play is a foul by Davis in the midfield on Pearson, and it's a free kick which will be taken by Bournemouth. We're 6.5 minutes in. Good start, though, by Gary O'Neill's men. They've had plenty of possession, and a lot of it in good areas as well, David.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, when the ball goes there, they want a free kick there. They spot it and play. Good tempo to them. And I've seen them here a few times now, and they have always started very, very well.
Here's Jack Stevens on loan from Southampton. Ball into the feet of Rothwell in the midfield, who's making his full debut for the club today. Stanislas working wide towards the left-hand side. He's got options either side of him. It's deflected, and it's in! Perfect start for Bournemouth. And Jamal Lowe, who's hardly seen any action all season, is the man that has given them the lead. It's a deserved advantage too. He just broke his way on the edge of the penalty area, and he hit a speculative right-footed shot which took a nick off an Everton player and ended up coming back on the underside of the bar, looping over Begovic, and it nestles in the back of the net. Bournemouth 1, Everton 0.
Well, I mean, the goal might be a little bit lucky, but the football certainly isn't. Great move, and eventually Jamal Lowe on the left-hand side, you think he's going to use the overlapping run of Zamora, but he doesn't. Takes it on the inside. It's not a particularly great strike. I think probably Begovic would have it covered, but nonetheless takes a deflection off. It looks like James Garner, and then just loops over Begovic into that far corner, just drops under the bar, kisses it on the way in, and, well, they got the goal at their good start, merited, that's for sure.
Yep, a moment of fortune, no doubt about that. Is the lead deserved? Yes, no doubt about that. More frustration for Frank Lampard, who's only seen his side score in one of the last 5 games. They haven't netted away from home for 314 minutes now. That's, I think, 5 1/4 hours since Dwight McNeil scored just up the coast from here at Southampton. And they've got work to do here as well. They trail Bournemouth on Talksport 2 by a goal to 0. Ball work by Patterson up the right flank. Mepham able to shepherd it back to his goalkeeper. And it's cleared long by Travis, who's the other Bournemouth player to retain his place in the starting lineup after that 4-3 defeat in heartbreaking circumstances to Leeds at the weekend. Travers almost sold short there by an errant back pass, but came out, read the situation well. Side puts it out of play, safety first, for a throw. But Everton will take with Patterson level with the edge of the Bournemouth penalty area over on the far side. With Talksport 2, 9 gone. Hull lead at Cardiff by a goal to nil in the Championship. Everton preparing to take this throw. It goes into the feed over there. Zamora is battling with Mope and goes out of play for another throw. It's Dimitrios Pelkas that scored that goal. Matty Virtue has given Lincoln the lead at Bristol City in the League Cup. And what a week they've had. Lose at Cheltenham, lead at Bristol City in the respective cup competitions at Chippenham, I beg your pardon, and trail at Bristol City in the space of 3-4 days or so. Bournemouth leading here, as you know, and QPR have conceded. Huddersfield equalised and Josh Ruffles 1 apiece at the King Prince Foundation Stadium.
There's some stories, sorry Jim, there's some stories as well, isn't it, for Jamal Lowe, because covering Bracknell Town last night, you know, step 3, the ground reminded me of Hampton and Richmond Borough. Where's Jamal Lowe start? Hampton and Richmond Borough, you know, picked up by Portsmouth, then Wigan, and here he is, obviously now Premier League club, and scored tonight.
Yeah, he's played for 7 different non-league clubs.
Yeah.
Who've had his permanent registration. It's not that he's sort of been at one and been out on loan. He's played for 7 different clubs, and eventually it was Dowson, Martin Tyler at Hampton and Richmond that really got the best out of him and put him on his way. He's played more than 270 senior games now, and a goal tally that's almost in its 60s after the one that he scored tonight, with, as we said, an element of fortune, the deflection off Garner and the kind kiss off the bar. But Bournemouth, with the luck that they've had recently, will feel that that's just redressing of the balance in some way. They lead by a goal to nil. We're 10 minutes in here on Talksport 2.
And also it just shows you that, you know, if they keep crossing the ball in the box of that big back 3, you know, they're probably not going to get a lot of joy, but working, clever movement, you know, they looked a lot better there, didn't they, leading up to the goal.
Everton have it in the midfield with Mope, and then Davis is able to make his way forward towards the edge of the penalty area, and he's blasted it over the bar. Glorious opportunity for Everton to get back on level terms within 4 minutes. Anthony Gordon was in there, played him in a perfectly weighted pass, and Tom Davis running onto it had maybe a little bit too much time to think about it, but he's blazed it over the bar by about 5-6 feet. Oh,
goodness me, he must score. I tell you what, the pass into him from Doucouré is absolutely outstanding. Good first touch, takes him across Mepham, who's out the game. He can't touch him, otherwise it's a penalty. Bit of composure and just keep the ball down. He sends the goal, he travels the wrong way, and he's just got to have a bit of composure, keep the ball low, instead gets under the ball and blazes it over the bar. He must score there.
2 games in the Scottish Premiership tonight. Livingston leading Aberdeen by a goal to nil with Jack Fitzwater on target. The rain has abated here at the Vitality Stadium. A reminder that all the goals as they go in live for you right now over on Talksport. Adrian Durham at Brentford tonight, which is a game that has been delayed. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff, but goals and reports of those goals on your quickest service anywhere on your dial here on Talksport. If you've got the Talksport app, you can just swipe one way or the other, and you can have the goals as they go in, or the action from here at Bournemouth. Bournemouth Everton in the Carabao Cup tonight. The Cherries leading 1-0, one of 450 live games that will bring you on the Talksport network over the course of this season, including all 64 from the FIFA World Cup, which starts a week on Sunday live out in Qatar. Bournemouth have possession after a free kick on the edge of their own penalty area, and it's played forward by Pearson into the feet of the goal scorer Lowe. Back out over the halfway line, Mepham to Zamora, and Stanislas making a run forward. Mina saw him coming, was in there very strongly. Picked up in the midfield though by Rothwell for Bournemouth, and played down towards Jack Stacey. Stacey turning under a little bit of pressure from Gordon, and goes back inside his own half for Stevens. Stevens to his left-hand side, and then being worked by Mepham, who's only missed 1 game all season for Bournemouth, through the midfield, and Stanislas is in there again, but ends up on the deck. It's Junior Stanislas. First start of 2022, such as the severity of the injury problems that he's had. Everton win it back again with Garner towards the edge of the penalty area. Good ball in towards Mope, had to juggle it a little bit, stabbed away on the edge of the box, but not effectively, and then a left-footed effort comes in. Well struck by Garner and well saved by Travers, who had to take a couple of hasty steps to his right-hand side and get a strong right hand to it to tip it over the bar for a corner.
Yeah, that'll do Travers the world of good. Good save from Garner. I mean, Bournemouth giving the ball away themselves. bit loose, careless in and around their own half, but in the end the strike from Garner just looked like it's dropping under the bar as well. Really good open game, isn't it? Chances at both ends.
And League 2 Carlisle lead at Harrogate by a goal to nil through Taylor Charters. In the National League, York leading at Bournemouth. It's 1-0 Bournemouth against Everton here with Jamal Lowe, whose only previous action this season was for the closing seconds in a 9-0 defeat. Well, he's been on target tonight. What can Everton muster from this corner? Three centre-halves all forward for it. Steep towards the far post. Headed back across the edge of the 6-yard box. Stacey can knock it away. Out as far as Vanagra. And Vanagra down to the corner taker Garner, who just got a little shove on a greasy top surface. Doesn't take much to put you on your feet. Or take you off your feet, should I say. Gordon, shock of blonde hair. Back for Davis to Patterson. Down towards Garner again. Midway between the halfway line and the edge of the penalty area. It's a long diagonal out towards the right-hand side with Yerry Mina's still for. Bournemouth have dealt with that one. But back it comes from Davis. Down towards Keane. Keane on the edge of the penalty area, working wide for Vanagra. Vanagra dropping his shoulder, trying to get round Christie. He's got to the byline. He's chipped it up towards the far post. Headed back down by Mina and then over the bar by Gordon. A second really presentable opportunity for Everton, and they've squandered them both. Mina heading it into the deck. It bounced up beautifully for Gordon, who threw his head at it, but has ballooned it over the bar.
Should score 5 yards out, downwind header, bounces it too far into the ground. You've got to say it's great football from Everton, because they kept the ball alive. They had the big centre-halves up from the corner. They didn't let Bournemouth clear their lines, kept working it, recycling it, get it out wide. Vanagra did really well to get to the byline. Lovely dink cross to the back post. Mina keeps it alive, and, well, as we said about Tom Davies, should score. He's got to score there. Two best chances of the game for Everton.
Hasn't been a season to remember so far for Stoke City, but they're 2 up inside quarter of an hour tonight at home to Luton. Tom Lockyer has put through his own net, and Stoke lead Luton by 2 goals to nil. Just a note from mainland Europe tonight. Bayern have got 4 inside the opening half an hour at home to Werder Bremen. In the Bundesliga, there's a full programme in Germany and Italy, and there's midweek fixtures in Spain as well. Ball out on the Bournemouth left. They'll bring it forward, leading by a goal to nil. Goes out towards Zamora, and play forward for Jamal Lowe, and the pass was well intentioned but slightly overhit. Goes through towards Asmir Begovic, the former Bournemouth keeper, back on his old stomping ground tonight, and Everton will be able to play it out from the back.
Not very well though.
Given away, they have actually regained possession straight away. Zamora had read it, but his touch wasn't great, and it's a good strong run forward here from Patterson, and he's gone 40 yards, 50 yards, sets up Gordon, whose right-footed shot came too late. It was actually cleared into him. Fantastic piece of defending. It was Rothwell that had tracked back and slid in and just flicked it into Gordon, and that meant that it hit him and goes out of play for a goal kick. Great run by Patterson though, Dave.
Absolutely, really strong. They got an injury. I think it might be Mepham maybe that's down, is it? They're struggling though. Looks like Zamora, but powerful run from Patterson, who drove right through the middle of the pitch, and the likes of Ben Pearson really struggling to keep up with him. What you would say, the pass maybe is just under hit ever so slightly, just held up maybe in the wet grass. Didn't make the most of that. And I think it is Zamora. Looks like he is. He's got a little bit of an issue here.
Yeah, cruel luck on the Zimbabwean, who's playing his 50th game for Bournemouth tonight. Well, he's still down receiving treatment, which gives me the opportunity to tell you about more goals. Lincoln 2 up at Bristol City. But Ben House has scored the second at Ashton Gate. In the Championship, Birmingham, who've hit a decent run of form, lead Swansea by a goal to nil. Scott Hogan's 9th of the season. And at Bloomfield Road, Middlesbrough have taken the lead there in the bottom 5 at the start of the night, but Isaiah Jones has put them ahead at Blackpool. Blackpool 0, Middlesbrough 1.
I just wonder, he might have a little bit of a tweak here, Gary, because Gary O'Neill, the Bournemouth manager, he's probably looking at how Everton have cut through the middle of the pitch far too easily and might need another player in there. Certainly one holder maybe. He's just going to be stationary at the minute. Pearson and Rothwell, they're pretty far apart at times, and Everton will just drive straight through them, so we'll have to wait and see if he has changed. He might have just changed his shape. We'll wait and see.
There's Zamora off. He'll be back on in a moment. It's less than 48 hours now until England's World Cup squad is named, and we've got a special programme between 1 and 4 on Thursday over on Talksport, hosted by Adrian Durham. with news of that England World Cup squad, live coverage of the press conference, analysis as well with former England players, and your chance to have your say. Also, tomorrow, Talksport's Wales correspondent for the World Cup, Lawrence Mora, is in the Rhondda Valleys, birthplace of both Rob Page and also the 1958 Wales manager Jimmy Murphy, ahead of the Wales World Cup squad announcement at 7 o'clock. That's all over on Talksport over the next 48 hours as the build-up to the World Cup really intensifies.
Well, I just wonder if he's gone to a back three here now. Gary Neal maybe. It looks like Anthony might be playing wing-back on one side, Zamora on the other, and he's just dropped Stacey in alongside Meppen and Stevens. We'll have to wait and see on that, but slight alteration for them.
Yeah, it looks that way. Zamora, who's back on, heading the ball down the left-hand side of the penalty area. Everton able to deal with it at the back with Patterson, takes it down towards the corner flag and cleverly flicks it out of harm's way, finding Keane. Patterson already a firm favourite amongst the Evertonian support, who've travelled in great numbers again tonight. Here's Tom Davis. Now behind him is Holgate. Davis just turned, and in doing so was caught by Christie. And it's a free kick which will be taken on halfway by Everton. Trailing by a goal to nil. Bournemouth, good value for the goal when it came inside the opening 7 minutes, but Everton have missed two really good chances since then and forced Travers into a good save as well. Good contest this. Davis back through the midfield. Here's Garner. Garner down towards Tom Davis and back towards Holgate. Holgate towards the edge of his own penalty area for Yerry Mina, who's making his first appearance since the opening weekend of the season, having now recovered from that ankle injury as Everton's injury problems begin to abate. Holgate back in the side and back in possession as well. Vinagre back for Garner. Decore in a little bit of space ahead of Garner, but he's worked it slightly more conservatively to his right for Keane, back out towards Patterson. And now for Keane again. Keane to Mina inside the centre circle. Haven't played with a back three that often, Everton, this season. They did it at Tottenham, much to everybody's surprise, with McNeil playing on the left-hand side. So it was a 5 that night rather than a 3, really. Dwight McNeil playing at left-back in a 5. They have sporadically used it earlier in the season, but it's been a back 4 by and large for recent weeks. But wouldn't be surprised with the number of shots. We were talking about it earlier, David, that Everton have conceded over the last 2 games, more than 20 against Leicester at the weekend. So you wouldn't be surprised that he feels that a change of shape's necessary. Yeah,
absolutely, and also just utilising the players that they've got available. Three fit centre halves, so why not? And obviously it gives them something else, a plan B. Just looking at Bournemouth, because I was trying to recall, I'm sure it was the Forest game where they were losing 2-0, Jim, and Gary O'Neill changed shape. And I think it was half-time, made a couple of changes, changed shape as well, and they ended up winning that game 3-2. And, young manager, fledgling manager, but, in-game here, he's made a change, early doors. He has got the lead, and, that's, I think if you're looking at a possible manager, say you're Luton or whatever, even, people upstairs at Bournemouth, I hope they're taking note of that, because sometimes things go against you as a manager, like, Tottenham with the quality they got to bring on, you're 2-0 up, and the quality they bring on impacts the result, maybe Leeds as well, whatever. But nonetheless, to me, he looks like he's a manager who's learning really, really quickly on the job, Gary O'Neill.
Livingston have a second at home to Aberdeen. Sean Kelly from the penalty spot. MK Dons 1, Morecambe 0 in a Carabao Cup tie between 2 of the bottom 4 in League One, and it's Warren O'Hora on target there. Stevenage 1, Charlton 0. The Luke Norris penalties. Bournemouth bring it forward. Here's Anthony, edge of the penalty area, thought about getting a right-footed shot in, just stumbled as he was preparing to do so. He didn't lose possession, but he lost the chance to do so. Mina heads it away. Gordon can help it further on, not once but twice, but Stacey's done well to get in between him and the ball and win it back. He sold at Rothwell a little bit short. Christie losing out. Everton can break quickly. Mope out towards Anthony Gordon, bottom left-hand corner of the penalty area very quickly. Everton getting it forward speedily, knocked square across the edge of the box. Patterson just trying to flick it around the corner for Decore's run, gets it back as the pass didn't find his man. Referee acknowledged Patterson was being pulled back, but has allowed the advantage with Everton still in possession in a good area. So Garner has it, and Garner's gone to his right-hand side for Michael Keane. Keane with an aerial ball in towards the far post, too high for Gordon. He's got a flick off the top of his head. Vinagre on the Everton left can keep it in, and he'll go towards the byline. He's just checked there by Anthony, but comes back out and finds Davis. Davis through the midfield. Better Everton possession with Played the opening quarter of the game, then it's still 1-0 to Bournemouth after Jamal Lowe's 7th minute opener. And Lowe's got possession again now. Still inside his own half, finding Zamora. He's not showing any ill effects of that injury that he picked up 5 minutes or so ago.
Well, Michael Keane there, he's just got to make sure that he keeps the ball. I mean, he's lost possession. Frank Lampard's turned around and shaking his head. He knows that, you know, if you're going to play with that back three, those two outside centre-backs are often going to have an awful lot of the ball, whether it's Holgate and Keane. They've got to make sure they do something good with it. They progress the ball up the pitch. They can't turn it over because, look, Bournemouth, possession-based team, want to have the ball against an even better team than Bournemouth. You know, they're not going to see it for a while, Everton.
In League 2, Leyton Orient will go 6 points clear at the top of the table if they win tonight's game in hand. They're away at Wimbledon, but they're losing by a goal to nil. And at Turf Moor, Burnley 0, Crawley 1 in the Carabao Cup. So that's the side in the bottom 5 of League 2, leading away at the Championship leaders, with Dom Telford, the man on target there. Burnley 0, Crawley 1. 1-0 Bournemouth lead Everton here. All the goals as they go in live for you right now over on Talksport. Here on Talksport 2. Very damp Vitality Stadium. Everton trail 1-0, but they've got better as the game has gone on. Begovic finding Keane. Keane back for Asmir Begovic again. Skies the clearance, doesn't get too much height on it. And Zamora leaving it for Mepham in behind him. Mepham heads it forward, but Patterson gets it away. Corey bringing it down in the midfield has got Mepham trying to make life difficult for him. And then Keane will turn it back for Begovic. And Begovic hits a long right-footed ball forward through the midfield. And again, it's not the longest clearance. The Corey battling for it and is able to do something with it. Mope with his back to the direction of play. Feeds it back for Garner. And then as the ball is played out towards the touchline, Zamora goes in very strongly on Abdoulaye Doucouré, but wins it cleanly, puts it out of play for a throw.
They're certainly not as good, Jimade, but Everton there, I was just going to say, playing out from the back, and what do they do? Pass it straight off the pitch, Everton. I mean, when Michael Keane gets it, often he doesn't look like he particularly wants it in his own half, and he goes back to Begovic far too often. Turn the ball over too cheaply, Everton, at the minute, certainly at the back.
Christie on the Bournemouth right, back for Pearson. Pearson to Rothwell in his white boots, and he's played it down to his left-hand side for Mepham. Mepham to Zamora. Now Jamal Lowe, the goal scorer, into Junior Stanislas, turning on the edge of the penalty area, went down. Yerry Mina was furious with him and waves him up and then leans over him and has a word as well. And just a little bit of pushing and shoving between the pair of them.
Well, the Everton fans are furious as well. You know, they turn the ball over. Tom Davies, really sloppy pass into Neil Mope. You know, you've got to keep it there. As I said, look, Bournemouth pretty good on the ball, you know, bossing possession. And Jamal Lowe, he's playing centre forward, but came through at Hampton. He's a wide man, really, so that's why he likes drifting out to that left-hand side, getting away from the physical contact of a Yerry Mina into those little pocket space. Those Everton fans aren't happy. Not a good performance so far from them, despite having two really good chances.
Yeah. They have got better, but from a low starting point. That said, they could easily have been 2-1 up, but for a good Chavez save, it could be 3-1. Ball played through the midfield by Christie, but he's lost it. Looking for Zamora, he only found Patterson. Another strong marauding run forward from him. Coming in at the far post was Gordon. The cross was overhit. Gordon threw a left foot at it, but more in hope than expectation. It's drifted out of play for a Bournemouth throw as Burnley equalise almost straight away against Crawley. The League 2 side only ahead for a couple of minutes or so. Ashley Barnes with the equaliser there. QPR 1, Huddersfield 2. They've come from behind with Josh Ruffles scoring both of those. And in that delayed kick-off at Brentford, it didn't take Ivan Toney long. Brentford 1, Gillingham 0. Toney on target inside the opening 3 minutes. I wonder what Thursday's going to bring for him. We'll find out together as Gareth Southgate names his England squad live on Talksport between 1 and 4 this Thursday over on Talksport. Tonight here on Talksport 2, Bournemouth 1, Everton 0. Here's David Connolly.
Well, one thing I was going to say, you know, touching on Calvert-Lewin being injured, Ivan Toney, he's fit, right? Robust, isn't he? One of those players that always seems to be available.
Yeah.
Robust. And certainly if you're going to a World Cup, you need players that are going to be available if they're not playing or they're training sporadically. And you know, you look at Everton here, they're really crying out. Ball in the box there from Patterson, which is not a bad one, but if you've got Neil Mope in there, he needs something guided along the ground. Same with Anthony Gordon. Anything in the air, it's just, can't see it really coming to much.
I was at Goodison at the weekend, and it was heartbreaking for Calvert-Lewin. personally don't think he'd have been in the squad anyway, but you never know. He certainly won't be now because of the hamstring strain that he picked up, but he's not had bad luck. He'd have had no luck at all over the last 18 months or so. A player that I know you really admire. I think he's a fantastic striker, and hopefully he'll be able to get these injuries behind him sooner rather than later.
Well, I mean, sooner rather than later as well. Everton have got to get the ball forward because they're spending too long with the ball at the back, and the likes of, Asmir Begovic and Michael, they don't really want it at the back. That is not their strength. Michael Keane wants to defend. Does he want to have 100 passes at the back between him and Mina and Begovic? Probably not.
Bournemouth have it at the back themselves now with Jack Stevens, who has played in the final of this competition, back in his Southampton days. Played down towards Anthony. It was a good turn by Anthony. Too good for Vinagre, who just caught his ankle. It's a free kick that Bournemouth will take on halfway. Harrogate have equalised at home to Carlisle in League 2 with Luke Armstrong scoring that goal. We've got more Carabao Cup action for you tomorrow, and a choice of action as well. It's Forest Spurs on Talksport, which kicks off at 7:45. They kick off at 8 at Anfield for Liverpool against Derby. Derby warming up for that one with a heroic 2-2 draw away at Torquay on Sunday. From Plainmoor to Anfield, will they notice the difference? Ball out of play for a throw, which will be taken by Vinagre. Down the left-hand touchline, Vinagre getting the return ball. And then Holgate chipping it forward aimlessly, and it goes straight through for Mark Travers, the Bournemouth goalkeeper, who's conceded 23 in his last 5 starts, but he's got a clean sheet against his name so far tonight. 1-0, Bournemouth lead it with half an hour gone. On Talksport 2, Mina heading it through the midfield for Decore. Decore just off his right-hand side. Patterson will bring it down. Patterson for Keane to Garner. Hasn't really been able to get on the ball as much as he would like. Garner to Holgate, and then back inside his own half for Mina, wearing 13 for Everton, and played square to his right for Keane. Keane to Patterson, is quickly closed down by Zamora. Garner on the stretch after his first touch, couldn't poke it back out towards Decore, but Everton got a throw out of it, conceded by Mepham over the far side. With 31 minutes in, with Jamal Lowe's early goal still the difference.
Yeah, and Bournemouth are doing really well in terms of, screening across the pitch, forcing Everton back. It's up to Everton just to go and risk possession, play a forward pass with quality and try and break Bournemouth down. But at the minute, here they go again, just working their way backwards. Before you know it, look, the Bulls with the feet of Begovic, and they're really struggling to go anywhere, Everton, with any sort of purpose.
Begovic with a long ball forward through the midfield. Mopé going up for it, brought down by Anthony, and he'll turn it to Stacey, and back to his goalkeeper Travers. In the EFL Cup then, Bournemouth leading Everton here 1-0, Brentford 1, Gillingham 0, in a game that ultimately didn't kick off till about 7 minutes past 8. Lincoln 2 up at Bristol City, Burnley 1, Crawley 1, 0-0 Leicester Newport, MK Dons 1, Morecambe 0, Stevenage 1, Charlton 0. That's how the third round ties are looking at the moment, with another glut of them tomorrow night. Anthony square to the dark-haired Pearson, mop of hair out towards the left now for Zamora. Zamora does well, getting it onto his right foot, given a little shove by Patterson, but he went down very easily. That's how the referee saw it anyway. Darren England allowed play to go on. Zamora ends up getting it back. Rothwell fires it in, far post, Anthony heads it down. Holgate's there to kick it high up in the air, to be brought down under control by Jack Stacey, and Tom Davis sliding in, concedes the throw.
Well, again, Everton turn the ball over. It's just that first pass, they give it away again. The fans must be so frustrated over there. It's so wasteful in possession, Everton.
In the Championship, Birmingham 1, Swansea 0. Middlesbrough a goal up at Blackpool. Hull similarly lead at Cardiff. 0-0 Coventry Wigan. QPR 1, Huddersfield 2 as the Basement Boys come from behind. Sheffield United Rotherham is 0-0. Stoke 2, Luton 0. And Joao Pedro's penalty has just given Watford the lead at home to Reading. Those your latest in the Championship. 1-0 Bournemouth lead here. Anthony playing it through the midfield. Stanislas almost perfect. A little nutmeg of Holgate for Christie's run, but couldn't quite get the angle right. Very difficult attempt at a pass. Goes back for Begovic, and Keane then clears. And Mepham comes across, stops the run of Decore by heading it out of play for an Everton throw. What a Frank Lampard's men need to do more of in the midfield to get better chances here.
I mean, you've got to credit Gary O'Neill as well and Bournemouth, because they've made, how many changes? 9?
Yes.
9 changes, and they have been pretty fluid. You've got to say, not a lot's changed in terms of how Bournemouth, have played whenever I've seen them. Really good in possession, playing through the thirds, etc. And there's a lot of good movement and rotation coming out there and passing. They've done really, really well. And Everton just look really laboured at the minute, struggling to go anywhere.
Holgate back for Gordon. And then back to Holgate again. Bradford take the lead at Mansfield through Richie Smallwood, and Swansea have equalised at Birmingham. 1 apiece there. Decore hurriedly into the feet of Neil Mopé, who's never scored a goal in this competition. Or, I beg your pardon, has scored 1, but it was more than 5 years ago. Hasn't had a chance so far tonight. This man has, Gordon, who missed the target with a close-range header. Back for Garner. Garner for Keane. Keane goes out to the right-hand side for Patterson. Everton's other really presentable opportunity inside the opening 15 minutes, squandered by Davis, who in a rising drive over the bar from just inside the penalty area. Zamora, back for Mepham. Bournemouth have looked much better since the change of shape to drop Stacey in at centre-half and move Anthony to right wing-back. Playing with a back 3 has restricted these Everton opportunities. Vinagra's high ball. Gordon just pushed away under the flight of it by Stevens. Then a high clearance by Stacey towards halfway. Garner and Christie battle for it. Then Decore and Stanislas are both in there. It's poked forward by Lowe. Holgate gets the hurry up from the Everton midfield and was able to win the foot race to get it back for Begovic. And then Everton get it away out towards the right-hand side for Patterson before a good header from the retreating Pearson steers it back to his goalkeeper, and the chances have long since dried up, but that suits Bournemouth.
It does, absolutely. Again, they kept the ball for 2 or 3 passes, eventually going back to their goalkeeper Everton, and by the time they then play forward and get into the middle third, they just struggle to keep it. That pass round the corner from Patterson was, he's been pretty good for them, I've got to say so far. Patterson probably their best player, but he's spun it round the corner infield, almost in the throat of Neil Mopé. There's not a lot he can do with that. He's got pressure in front from Ben Pearson, he's got pressure from behind as well, so really difficult at the minute for Everton just to get hold in this game.
It's a long time since Bournemouth have lost the League Cup tie here. Some 6 seasons since Preston beat them in a 5-goal thriller here on the South Coast back in the 16-17 campaign. Cherries haven't conceded a single goal in their last 3 League Cup matches on home soil. Now, if that run continues, it won't just stop the run of 4 successive defeats in all competitions, but will also take them through to the round of 16 again, which will be played, as I'm sure you're aware, those 4th round ties between the World Cup final and Christmas. Patterson, and just saying that has brought a collection of wry shakes of the head from about 6 people around me. Here's Davis, down towards Holgate. You're with Talksport 2. Bournemouth leading Everton by a 1-0 with Jim Proudfoot and the former Ireland striker David Connolly talking through the action. Gordon's just been fouled. A free kick taken quickly after the indiscretion by Christie. And Everton working out towards the right-hand side again for Keane. Keane to Patterson and straight back again. Now down towards Yerry Mina. Mina, 20 yards inside his own half. Keane out to Patterson once more. Davis showing for the ball in the midfield. Patterson with a lovely turn. I think he does look so effortless. And then when he goes up through the gears, he's got a deceptive yard of pace that you just don't expect him to have. But once he goes from 2nd up to 4th pretty quickly, and he can lead players in his wake. Zamora knew that, just pulled him straight down. Yeah,
that's why he probably could have a future as a wing back for sure. But at times when he gets it, to me, he feels that he wants something else on the outside of him, another option, but he's almost got to patrol that whole flank himself, and it's not really Decore's game to be getting up and down and wide, so it's difficult. Here to go again. Everton comes to Decore, back to Patterson, before you know it Keane, and we're back to Begovic, and they've had so much possession in and around their own box, Everton, but haven't really gone anywhere.
Yeah, 50-50 the stats, but so much of the play has been concentrated in the half of the field that's in front of us. We're situated about 20 yards inside the right-hand half of the pitch as we're looking at it, so the half that Everton are defending in this first half. The stats of 5 shots to 2 in Everton's favour, and very slight advantage in terms of possession don't begin to tell the story. Jamal Lowe with the goal on 7 minutes. Bournemouth leading Everton 1-0. High up and under comes from Mason Holgate on the edge of the centre circle, and it just bobbles innocuously out of play for a Bournemouth throw.
Is that enough, Jim? You know, from Mason Holgate, is that good enough? He's under no real pressure. He's just banged that ball, 50, 60 yards in the air to nobody, and that is not going to be enough. Certainly not where Everton want to go or have ambitions to go.
Everton ended up getting the possession back from the throw, and Holgate's got it again now. Holgate to Vinagre, back for Asmir Begovic, briskly back for Begovic, and had he not got there in time, it would have gone in for an own goal. Just a few oohs and ahs from some in the crowd. It was never likely to be able to beat him, only if he'd stumbled. Davis plays it out towards the Everton right, and murmurs of discontent from the Evertonian support on the far side, because it's very almost tortuous, the build-up.
Laboured, so laboured, with no real purpose, no structure. The movement's pretty non-existent, to be honest, at the minute from Everton. Well, it wouldn't surprise me. There you go, off the pitch again. Maybe he's just kept it in, King.
Well, it's Patterson to Davis. Davis scooped it hurriedly out towards the far side, and Keane somehow was able to rescue it and stop it going out of play for a cheap throw. Wimbledon 2, Leyton Orient 0. Harry Pell in League 2, which is a potential coupon buster. 10 minutes to go to half-time there. 5 minutes to go to half-time in this one, with Bournemouth still leading 1-0. Gordon to Patterson, who skewers it over the top for the run of Decore, but he's missed him by some distance. Mepham just shepherded the ball out of play. There's a little high five between him and Travis, and it will be a goal kick. There's no finesse about anything that Everton are doing.
No craft, no real guile at all, but they have had the two best chances of the game. One from 5 yards out, another one from maybe 8 or 9, which is probably harder to miss than to score. So, but they've been dreadful.
In keeping with the performance of the weekend, many Evertonians thought it was one of their worst displays of the season so far, if not the worst, at home to Leicester. A Leicester side that started the day in the bottom three with very good value for that 2-0 win. And certainly the second half of Everton's previous game at Fulham, they created next to nothing, and it was quite backs to the wall, but there was seldom any sign that they were going to be the one that would score the only goal of the game. Anthony heading the ball just after it had gone over the line for a throw, and it'll be taken by Everton on the left-hand side by Ruben Vinagre. And notwithstanding the two good chances that Everton have had, just one attempt on target for them so far, and certainly no signs of an equaliser in the last 20-25 minutes. 4 to go to the break. Vinagre with the throw, chested down in the midfield by Gordon, and then Gordon tried to embarrass Stevens, couldn't quite win possession back. Mepham will turn it back to his goalkeeper, and Travers, who's in all yellow tonight, clears it long, right-footed, spinning over the halfway line. Holgate out-muscling Jamal Lowe to head it back through the midfield, and Mopé then wins the free kick from Jack Stevens. And this will give Everton the opportunity potentially to get the likes of Mina and Keane forward. They've not created anything from open play for 20 minutes or so, but will they be able to do something from this free kick?
Well, certainly, the back three look like they're going up for this. And obviously Garner's got that delivery. He's got a wonderful technique, hasn't he, James Garner? And it's up to those players, him. Obviously, you've got the likes of Iwobi on the bench. Previously, probably Iwobi would think this would be the sort of game that he'd be playing in, on the periphery. But now he's one of their main men. I'm sure Frank will look, well, do I have to bring him on?
In the context of Everton's season, he's had a very good campaign. Garner playing the ball in towards the far post. Headed away by Jamal Lowe, not the tallest, as we've been saying, but got in the right position to be able to steer that one clear, and it goes out of play for an Everton throw over on the far touchline, which Tom Davis is going to go across the table. Originally Gordon was going to, but Davis then goes to, and then he in the end leaves it for Patterson to take. Back from him to Keane to Holgate, and now down towards the Everton left very quickly for Ruben Vinagre. Sheffield United 0, Rotherham 1. Ben Wiles scoring that goal. Blades, such a good result at the weekend, but trailing the local derby at home to Rotherham at the moment. And news of all the goals over on Talksport. Ball worked inside the penalty area by Gordon. Headed away easily by Stacey. And the counter-attack could potentially be on for Lowe. He's poked it back in field. Zamora sliding in there. Got caught by Gordon, who the Bournemouth players certainly feel he left one on him. Now, you would imagine this will be a yellow card and nothing more severe than that, but it was, as you would have judged from David's reaction, late and high. It is a yellow. Yeah, I mean, the pass on Jamal Lowe to Zamora was just a little bit behind Zamora. And as he went to clear the ball to his teammate Zamora, Anthony Gordon came sliding. There was a little coming together on the far side on the throw, wasn't there? You could hear the crowd. Maybe Anthony Gordon, I don't know, him and Zamora might have had a couple of words, I don't know whether that was a bit of retribution too. But on the replay it looked even worse than the yellow. Did, didn't it? Yeah. Had that been a red, you wouldn't have been surprised. No. We don't have VAR in the Carabao Cup. It would have been looked at. Certainly, I don't know that it would necessarily have been deemed to be an obvious on-field error. Frank Lampard spoke a few weeks ago about how the fact that he's having to sit down and chat to Anthony Gordon at times. He's got a lousy disciplinary record. That's his 7th yellow card of the season already. There's more than any other Premier League player. Well, they've had some players in the past, Wayne Rooney springs to mind, plays on the edge, and they're not the same player if they don't play on the edge. So I think it's difficult when you're a youngster and you've got that will to win and you've got that aggression. You don't want to take it out of their game because then they're not the same player. So I think you've got to temper that. I remember another who was like that played for both of these clubs. He was an outstanding midfielder, Joe Parkinson, who left Bournemouth to go to Everton. No stranger to a yellow card himself. And what a good player he was. Leicester lead Newport 1-0. James Justin for the Foxes, who are beginning to pick up now. 4 from Holgate. Headed away by Stacey, brought down by Anthony. As I'm sure you heard, the PA announcer, 2 additional minutes at the end of the first half here at Bournemouth, who lead 1-0. Long ball played over the top, straight through for Begovic, and it's bowled out quickly to his right-hand side for Patterson, who's urged just to travel with the ball. Bournemouth are happy for him to do that. They'll back off, Rothwell not engaging, and Patterson can get into Bournemouth territory, then finds Decore, back again to Patterson, swiftly back from the Scotsman to the Malian, and now Yerry Mina will find Mason Holgate. Holgate back for Mina once more on the edge of the centre circle. Garner receiving the ball inside his half of the centre circle and then turning it wide to the right-hand side for Michael Keane. Keane working it down the right-hand touchline. Mopé, who's glad he's not getting paid by the touch tonight, chasing and getting there and winning a corner. He's done well. It's a really good turn from the Frenchman. And it's a corner as we approach half-time, which will be taken on the Everton right. Yeah, he did do well. First time we've really seen him receive the ball in the box, twisting, turning. That's what he does best. Neil Mopé hasn't had many sights of guys, you say, not many touches, but he done well there, and obviously with their big back unit here, Everton could be a real threat. So Mina is forward and then departs the scene again. Now stands near the penalty spot with his left arm above his head. Just in front of him, Keane and Holgate. Mopé being detailed by Stacey. The corner is worked in short. And back out from Gordon, past Davis, who did have the time to retrace his steps and get it. Patterson fires it in, looking for Mina, but it's easily headed away. Counter-attack could be on here for Bournemouth, but the initial touch from Pearce was a little bit heavy. Then when it's played for Zamora, he's offside. Well, they made a right mess of that, Everton. And I don't just mean the first half. That corner. I mean, look, they've got all the big men. Why they try something fancy when, there's a minute of injury time? They just wasted nearly all of it by taking it short and messing up. Put it in the box. By the time they do so, it's a really poor delivery, easily cleared, and they nearly got done on the counter. That sums up their first 45. Absolutely, the perfect epitome of it. Ahead of the start of this second half. Neil Mopé just about to get us underway with Everton blue shirts and white shorts kicking from left to right in this second half of Bournemouth red and black striped shirts, black shorts and red socks. They line up Travers in goal, Stacey, Stevens and Mepham, Anthony Pearson, Rothwell, Zamora, Christian Stanislas and Lowe. Everton, Begovic in goal, Holgate, Mina and Keane, Patterson, Decore, Garner, Davis, Vinagre, and then Gordon and Mopé up top. David Connolly, the former Ireland international, is alongside me. DC, are you surprised that Everton haven't made any changes? Well, maybe. I mean, Damari Gray, look, he's stripped. He's got his everything off.
barring his bib, so I imagine he'll be on soon. But let's hope there's a change in attitude here from Everton. You know, a bit more proactive and go for it, better on the ball, higher tempo, more intensity to their play.
Have gone out of this competition in 3 of the last 4 seasons on penalties, but they're going to need an equaliser tonight if that's going to be their fate, and they're hoping it'll be much, much better than that. One of 9 current Premier League sides who've never won this competition, Everton. Bournemouth another, perhaps less surprisingly in Bournemouth's case, bearing in mind the historical tiers that they've been playing their football at, but they have reached 3 quarter-finals in the last 8 years. Everton, last runners-up back in 1984, when they lost a replay to Liverpool, who won it for a 4th successive season that time around. Here's Decore in possession for Everton, who trail by a goal to nil, that early Jamal Lowe goal. And Everton will play it forward out to the left-hand side for Vinagre. Back it goes again for Holgate, now to Mina. And Mina just bring it towards the edge of the centre circle and miss Michael Keane from relatively close range. And Frank Lampard looked away in dismay as the ball goes out of play for a throw. It'll be taken on the Bournemouth left-hand side. 1-0 to the Cherries on Talksport 2.
Well, maybe nothing has changed, you know, because Everton have started their second half as they did the first, pretty slow and laboured. And I imagine Demarai Gray will be on pretty quickly.
Oh, stumble from Holgate as he received the pass from Begovic, and Lowe with an effort deflected across the face of goal and put it at the far post by Junior Stanislas. And Bournemouth lead by 2-0, and it is so preventable from an Everton perspective. It's a moment that just sums up their night. Begovic playing it out towards Holgate. Holgate stumbling, losing possession. Lowe putting it on a plate at the far post for Junior Stanislas. He couldn't miss, and Bournemouth are 2 up.
Well, you know, that change, you know, it could have been, without making a change, which they didn't in terms of personnel, change in attitude, desire, play, far too often, as we've seen this game, going back to their goalkeeper, Yerry Mina again, back to Begovic. I mean, Mason Holgate, you should never give it to a centre-half who's not really facing forward. If he can't see both goals, Mason Holgate, he can't see anyone. Slips, the ball's robbed off him, played across the box by Ryan Christie, and there's Stanislas at the back post. I mean, a comedy of errors, really, all over the pitch. I mean, Frank Lampard turned around, he sort of had a wry smile, because I don't know, can he legislate for that? Well, yeah, I think he can. By in terms of at half-time saying to the players, look, we're not going back to our goalie anymore, let's play forward on the front foot. It's a change in beliefs and desire in terms of how you play as well.
Bournemouth 2, Everton 0, and Mason Holgate on his return to the side has just conjured up a huge error, which has led to that second goal. Last time these two sides played, it was Stanislas that scored the last goal, the third for Bournemouth in a 3-1 win. It ended up being the last goal of Eddie Howe's reign. Hasn't scored too many since then in the grand scheme of things, such as have been his injury problems. But on his return to the starting lineup with the captain's armband, Stanislas has scored tonight. Now it looks as though it could be a triple change for Everton very shortly, of which more in a moment, as Bournemouth bring it forward again. Good movement from Stacey, trying to get around the back of Vinagre on the right-hand side of the penalty area, but the Portuguese has stood firm. He's ended up conceding possession. It's gone out of play for a throw. Now Gray and Iwobi are both down and about to come on. I don't know whether it's going to be Dwight McNeil who will be coming on as well. If it is, those are the 3 players that have travelled from the weekend starting lineup who are named on the bench today. It is going to be those 3. So Gray, Iwobi and McNeil will all be on for Everton in a moment. But they'll be coming on with the side 2-0 down in the opening stages of the second half.
Well, it makes you wonder why they didn't come on at half-time, Jim, right? Unless he sent the team out and was pretty adamant, there's got to be a change in how we play. Tempo, desire, playing forward on the front foot. But, could you say with the same players out there it was going to be that way? Probably not.
That second goal has focused some minds and also intensified some frustration. So the 3 of them will be on in a moment. Here's Keane. Down the right-hand touchline for Patterson. And Patterson flicking it back infield towards Keane, who's lost out. And an opportunity for Jamal Lowe to bring it forward, and he rode the challenge of Garner beautifully. And he's still got it running towards the edge of the area, and still he goes. Ball into the feet of Christie. Couldn't quite feather the return back into his path. There's a brilliant run that by Jamal Lowe. And he was a little bit unlucky that it didn't have a better reward.
Well, certainly I think, Frank Lampard is putting Michael Keane in positions that he doesn't want to be in. I mean, whether he comes off, it's Mason Holgate that's coming off as the first change. I know you'll call it, Jim, but I feel a little bit sorry here for Michael Keane, because he's getting him to be a sort of ball-playing centre-half, playing him in areas. He was in the middle of the pitch there in midfield. He doesn't want the ball there, surrounded by players. He wants everything in front of him.
Well, Anthony Gordon is coming off as well, and there are boos from the Everton supporters as he leaves the field. Gray for Gordon, and Garner's coming off, so Iwobi for Garner. So Iwobi for Garner, Gray for Gordon, and McNeil for Holgate, which means that Everton will go back to the more customary back four.
Well, it was an experiment that didn't work, that's for sure. They were dreadful, make no mistake. For the first, 52 minutes, 2-0 down.
So it's now Begovic in goal. Back four of Patterson, Mina, Keane and Vinagre. And then Davis is anchoring the midfield with Decore and Iwobi ahead of him. And then McNeil on the right, Mopé through the middle, and Damari Gray, former league title winner, over on the left-hand side. First chance for Alex Iwobi to shine, and he has shone this season. More assists in this campaign for Everton than in his previous seasons with the club combined. 6 assists in his last 12 games since he's been metamorphosised into a dynamic ball-playing central midfielder rather than the winger that we saw for the first 200-odd games of his career. Stanislas playing it through the midfield here for Rothwell. Bournemouth switching it wide. Sorry, David, out towards the right-hand side for Anthony. They lead 2-0. Anthony with a chance to run of Vinagre. He's got Christie making a run across the near post, and it's cleared by Keane and into the car park.
I mean, Damari Gray's just put his arms out to Michael. Can we just settle down a little bit? Did we really need to lash that clear? That sums up, I think, Michael Keane's afternoon. I mean, just coming back, I was going to touch on Anthony Patterson, because I think Nathan Patterson has been really, really good, but as a fullback, at times, he wants to play first time round the corner, and every time he's done that tonight, he's lost possession. It is a harder pass, because you're playing it first time. I mean, he played one, do you remember, first half, he took the touch infield and played it with his left foot right in the throat of Neil Mopé. That time he tried to bounce it infield, one touch, it was cut out, the man wasn't there, and, he'll learn, he's young, but those little things, he's got Ashley Cole on, so I'm sure Ashley Cole was feeding him right. If you're going to play that ball first time round the corner into infield, whether it's your weaker foot or your best foot, make sure your man is there. Make sure that he's in actual space to receive it first time. So these are the games that really his coaching staff should be picking these bits out, going through with him afterwards, improving him.
Well, you're not missing anything, because Jordan Zamora has been down receiving more treatment for injury. It was significant that when he went down, the Bournemouth players came over towards this near side and had discussions with their coaching staff. The Everton players didn't. They just stayed in and around the edge of the penalty area. No thought of coming over for instructions from Frank Lampard and co. More goals elsewhere. Carlisle back ahead, 2-1 up at Harrogate through Ryan Edmondson. And Marcus Forss penalties doubled Middlesbrough's lead early in the second half at Blackpool. Watford 1, Reading 0's a half-time score. Cardiff have equalised at home to Hull through Callum Robinson 1-1. Lincoln 3 up at Bristol City. Paulie O'Connor has made it 3-0 there. What a week. MK Dons 2, Morecambe 0 through Matt Dennis. And Brentford 1, Gillingham 0 is a half-time score in that delayed game at the G-Tech Community Stadium. That brings you up to date with all the goals. And a reminder that over on Talksport for you right now, Adrian Durham talking through all the action from all the games that are taking place tonight, the goals and the reports as the ball hits the net. We're back underway here. It's another misplaced pass from Keane from the back. Headed down by Anthony. Stanislas gives it. Anthony back. Anthony, right-footed effort. Beaten away by Begovic at the near post. We've seen one centre-half make an error that led to a goal, and we very nearly saw another one of them do it again. Yeah,
I mean, nice little bit of deception here from Anthony. He faked to bend this into the far corner, tried to deceive Begovic. Instead, wrap it towards the near post, but Begovic read it well. As you say, again, comes from another error from Michael Keane. He is having a game to forget. He started off right side, centre-half in the back three, now playing left centre-back and tried a really ambitious cross-field ball. Just keep the game simple.
So this is Bournemouth's first corner of the second half. And it's going to be a right-footed in-swinger towards the near post. Well headed away. Brought back down in the midfield by Joe Rothwell. And then left-footed, it's pumped forward towards the back post. We've still got the players in that area. Junior Stanislas is there. He's clipped it. It's taken a deflection, brought down by Lowe. Can't get himself into a shooting position. He's got Evertonians all around him. Mepham waved the right leg at it, but didn't make decent contact. And as he hurt himself in the process, ball on the right-hand side of the penalty area. Mepham, of course, hoping to be named in the Welsh World Cup squad tomorrow. And he stayed down injured. Please say that is not a muscle injury or anything that would rule him out of the World Cup, because that would be heartbreaking.
I think he's just made contact here. I think as he's gone to pull the trigger, Jamal Lowe's just taking it off his toe, and maybe Jamal Lowe's made a bit of contact with him, but I'm sure that is just a contact injury, although it hurts at this moment in time. Fingers crossed he's going to be okay. With possible handball on that replay from Damari Gray as that cross came in. If there's VAR, probably be given.
Well, Mepham's back on his feet and now doesn't appear too perturbed, which is a good sight. And he's making his way over towards this near touchline. And the World Cup starting a week on Sunday. It's come round quick. Every game live on the Talksport network for you as part of the 450 live games that we'll bring you over the course of this season on Talksport and Talksport 2. Play restored to Bournemouth after the ball had been put out of play so that Mepham could receive whatever treatment was necessary. He won't be pumping it upfield. Sportingly for Travers, and Bournemouth will now play forward from the back where Zamora's lost it. Decore dragging it back towards the edge of the penalty area. Damari Gray to Iwobi, but it didn't quite get there. Stacey stepped up from the defensive line. He read it, and now we'll get Bournemouth going with Christie. Christie's ball forward. Stacey herring after it. Tom Davies timed his challenge well. There was not much margin for error there. He's just in the penalty area, I think, but he won it cleanly. And he's worked it forward towards Vinagre. And Vinagre will twist and turn and bring it out of harm's way in towards Mopé, who's put on the deck there by Stevens. And it's going to be a free kick, which will be taken by Everton about 15 yards inside their own half. 57 gone. It's Bournemouth 2, Everton 0.
Well, you asked me this, I think, in the build-up, Jim. Was Frank under any sort of pressure if those people from above, you know, in terms of his position? There is a manager sitting beside us, isn't there, who is from Merseyside.
He's an old Evertonian.
Old Evertonian, who's doing pretty well at the minute.
Yeah.
You spotted him?
Yep, Steve Schumacher, the Plymouth manager. And what a fine job he has had and done since replacing Ryan Lowe, stepping up at Plymouth. And here's Zamora playing it forward here for Jamal Lowe, left-hand side of the box. He's won a corner. I think Steve, who's still in his 30s, would feel that he loved the Everton job one day. It's his club, but one day probably isn't one day soon. There's still plenty of work to do down in Devon as yet, and he's doing it brilliantly. It's going to be a corner which will be taken on the left-hand side by Bournemouth. Won by Jamal Lowe. Stanislas is going to come across to take it. Bournemouth's third corner of the night. Rothwell waits on the edge of the penalty area. They've got two inside the 6-yard box right in front of Asmir Begovic. Pearson's one of those. It's swung in and headed over the bar. A very difficult chance. It was Jack Stevens that got to it at the far post, but he was off balance by the time the ball got to him. But Begovic was having absolutely no room for manoeuvre, such was the positioning of Pearson. And it goes out of play. And the goal kick is taken quickly. They've not got a good record here at the Vitality Stadium. Everton have never won here in the Premier League, although they did win an FA Cup tie here in Bournemouth's Premier League era with goals from Barkley and Lukaku. Here's Damari Gray taking it on now, right-hand side of the area. Great ball chipped in, well headed away by Stevens, but that was better from Everton. More pace, getting it forward quickly. Good, strong running from Gray and a decent delivery as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a heavy touch from Damari Gray, but with his pace, as you said, his speed, he kept that in play. Nice deep ball just along the 6-yard box. Excellent defending from Stevens, facing his own goal. Didn't hit it back into danger, headed out for a corner, and that wasn't too bad, to be honest. That corner is taken short and then fired in, and it's easy for Mepham to watch it bounce on the edge of the 6-yard box and judge that it's going to go out of play for a goal kick. Everton's set pieces have been woeful.
Yeah, they have, yeah. I mean, that one at the end of the first half, I don't know why they're persisting with taking things short when they've got such a big team. You know, why try and be elaborate? When you're not playing well, just do the simple things as well as you can, and that includes, you know, set pieces as well. Just put it into the box.
The game's taking place in Germany and Spain and Italy as well tonight. Robert Lewandowski's been sent off for Barcelona, who trail at Osasuna by a goal to nil. They've played barely half an hour there, but Lewandowski off and Barcelona a goal down. Zamora, good strong running from him, good clever ball, low, the angle's tight, Begovic out very quickly, and he's alleviated the threat with ease. Patterson's going to be able to bring it away down the Everton right into the feet of Mopé, who was very quickly closed down by Pearson. And now Decore will play it out towards the Everton left, a little bit more urgency from those in blue and white. 61 gone. 2-0 Everton trail, but they've got another corner of their own, which Damari Gray has won by firing in. It's hit Stacey. Elsewhere, Bradford lead 2-0 at Mansfield. Andy Cook's 14th goal of the season. Harrogate have their second equaliser of the night under Carlisle, 2-2. And here, it remains Bournemouth 2, Everton 0. But remember, Bournemouth blew a 2-0 lead here at home to Spurs. They blew a 3-1 lead at Leeds, lost both of those games. It's not over yet, but Everton haven't shown any potency up front, and that's another really poor corner. So it's fired in by Gray and easily headed away by Lowe at the near post. High left-footed ball swung back in, comfortably claimed by Travers. Mina on the deck, claiming that he was pushed over. The referee saw nothing in it at all, and Travers looks as though he's going to pretend that he's going to play out from the back. He may well not do. Oh, he is. He's just rolled it down to his left-hand side, and now Mepham will chip it out towards the far touchline, but straight into the Everton supporters, and that was a needless concession of possession.
Well, it is, but the only thing I'd say, even if it goes out wide for a throw in the wide areas, the flanks, Everton just don't trouble you. Their delivery in the box has been dreadful. That crossfield ball in the box, you know, in from Vinagre was wildly overhit, far too close to Travers. The corner underhit from Damari Gray, and look, he can go through the gears and he is quick. He has come on and made a difference. Same with Iwobi, but when they get in those wide areas, like in the Premier League, they've got to do a lot better.
Livingston 2, Aberdeen 1. Louis Lopez from the penalty spot pulling one back at the Tony Macaroni. Here's McNeil for Everton, back towards Tom Davis. Davis on the slide, kicked it into Christie, and it breaks his way off low. Christie to Zamora, left hand side of the penalty area, faced up by Mina. He'll get towards the byline, chip it across, and it's headed over the bar. And Jamal Lowe has missed the chance that would have put Everton out of the League Cup.
I tell you what, Zamora's been outstanding tonight, hasn't he? I mean, Tom Davies dwells on the ball, loses it in the middle of the park, and then Bournemouth break. Zamora, he's got the pace, gets to the byline, a brilliant ball to the back post. And there's Jamal Lowe with it's a really good chance. You know, you wouldn't say he's had to stretch that much for it. On his head, hits it over the bar. I don't think he's a player necessarily renowned for his heading, Jamal Lowe, but nonetheless, that was a pretty simple header. Certainly just even to hit the target.
Well, Bournemouth are going to make a couple of changes very shortly. Emi Marcondes and Ryan Fredericks are both being readied. We played 64 on Talksport 2, Bournemouth 2, Everton 0. Here's Damari Gray. Left-hand side of the penalty area. He's done really well to get himself into a crossing position, trying to pull it back for Iwobi, but only found Pearson, who's been in the right place at the right time on frequent occasions tonight. Now Stanislas works it down towards the Bournemouth left-hand side for Zamora, and a drop of the shoulder gets him past McNeil. Very cute from Zamora, and he wins another free kick. He has been excellent.
He has. Sensational. And I think Jack Stacey could do a little bit of help, because Damari Gray's come on and he is quick. He just looks like he can knock it past Jack Stacey. He needs to give himself a couple more yards, you know, just back off a little bit. Don't get too tight.
Well, the changes are being made. Fredericks for Zamora. And Fredericks will come on the right-hand side, and Stacey is going to move across to the left. So they're going to go back to a back four by the look of it. Marcondes for Stanislas. That's the other change. Captain's armband goes to Chris Mepham, and Junior Stanislas leaves the field, back in the starting lineup, back amongst the goals as well, and embraces Marcondes as he leaves the field. 2-0 midway through the second half.
I mean, look, again, is this an example of good in-game management? We're just saying about how Stacey struggled with the pace against Damari Gray, so what does Gary O'Neill do? Bring on Fredericks, so look, I don't know Gary particularly well. I'm not, punting for him for jobs or anything, but if you look at his decisions today in game, they've been pretty good. I know Bournemouth fans think, well, what about when we're 2-1 up against Spurs or 3-1 up against Leeds, but he's certainly done well tonight.
2-0 they lead again. The risk of repeating ourselves, the 2-goal lead has been a dangerous one for Bournemouth, but you can't see an Everton fight back at the moment. They are having better possession. They're having more of the ball in Bournemouth territory than before, but there's an omnipresent threat on the counter-attack. Here's Keane. Play it out to the Everton left again. Mopé will make his way towards the edge of the penalty area. Dwight McNeil's in there as well. Alex Iwobi. Mopé flicking on cleverly round the corner. Gray, right-footed effort, and there's one back. That's a brilliant finish. Damari Gray. Well, maybe the fight back is on. Bournemouth nerves will be jangling now. It came to Damari Gray on the edge of the penalty area with minimal backlift. He's fired one across the face of Travers and into the bottom right-hand corner. It's Bournemouth 2, Everton 1.
Yeah, brilliant. This is a really good goal. I mean, Iwobi with a really lovely pass into Neil Mopé. Superb little layoff into the path of Damari Gray. Just holds off Ryan Fredericks and takes a couple of touches just to set himself, and then as he set himself, he set the ball wide outside of Travers. His sort of leading arm couldn't get anywhere near it. Lovely goal. Really, really good goal. Brilliant curl on the ball.
First they've scored away from home in 6 hours and 13 minutes. And Damari Gray scored the winner at Fleetwood in round 2. Has just given Everton a little bit of hope in round 3. Middlesbrough 3 up at Blackpool. It'll be a big win for them. Chuba Akpom has scored the goal. His 8th of the season for Borough's leading scorer. Southend 2, Notts County 2 in the National League, as Emi Marcondes has it here for Bournemouth and hasn't got to the pace of the game yet. Underhit the ball for Stacey, one back by Iwobi. He just wondered what the psychological effect would be on Bournemouth if they were to blow another 2-goal lead here, particularly bearing in mind that they take on Everton again 3 o'clock Saturday in the Premier League. A match between the sides, 5th bottom and 4th bottom. Right-footed effort over the bar from Mopé, but Everton are beginning to rack up the chances.
Yeah, and the Everton fans like that as well. I mean, Damari Gray's operating right in front of those away fans, so whenever he receives possession, he's encouraged to go forward. They're backing him. That strike, though, for Neil Mopé, pretty similar sort of area to Damari Gray's goal. Just got under the ball ever so slightly, raised it over the bar, but look, they're moving the ball a lot quicker, much more tempo to their play. The players that come on have had a great impact too.
Bournemouth turning it round the corner with Anthony. Anthony laying it off. Here's Lowe, scored the first Bournemouth goal. Hit into space by Anthony through the midfield. Vanagri in strongly on Christie, but the loose ball breaks Ryan Fredericks' way. Fredericks down the right-hand side of the penalty area. And the cross when it comes in from Marcondes was straight into the hands of Begovic, who will bowl it out quickly for Alex Iwobi. And on a night where Everton really haven't played well for long periods of time, all of a sudden they look as though they can get back into this. Mopé out towards Iwobi again. Iwobi on the edge of the penalty area. Mopé outside him. Iwobi tried his luck. Took a deflection. Squirts down towards the corner flag. It's kept in by Stacey. And then a good turn by Anthony gets the better of Tom Davis and helps it through the midfield. But it's easy for Yerry Mina just to outmaneuver and outmuscle Jamal Lowe. And Everton push forward again. They trail by 2-1. High ball inside the Bournemouth box, easily headed away by Mepham. Not showing any ill effects of that injury picked up a few minutes ago. Pearson, Marcondes. Back through the midfield from Lowe to Marcondes again. Anthony lets it run across his body because Stacey's going to be able to pick it up. Stacey deceives Patterson and moves into an infield position. And he's running towards the edge of the penalty area. And he lets fly, but Keane blocks it. And Everton will bring it away then with Iwobi. And Iwobi will take it out towards the left flank. This has been a slow burner. this game, but it's setting itself up for a dramatic climax now. 2-1 to Bournemouth. But Everton, the better side over the last 10 minutes. Here's Jamal Lowe. Yarding from the right-hand touchline as we go into the final 20 minutes. Still he's got it. Back for Christie. Back through the midfield again for Rothwell. We've got more live Carabao Cup action coming your way tomorrow. Nottingham Forest against Spurs kicks off at 7:45. That's over on Talksport. And on Talksport 2, Liverpool Derby, which is an 8 o'clock kickoff. Both of those games live for you on the Talksport network tomorrow. And then Thursday, it's Manchester United against Villa. A 7:45 kickoff. Build-up starts at 7. Hugh Wishencroft in the chair for that. Sam Matterface and Nicky Gray talking through the action. 7:45 at Old Trafford. Thursday, over on Talksport. Thursday during the day between 1 and 4. All the news from the announcement of England's World Cup squad. I reckon we can all come up with 21, 22 names that will be there, but who will the others be and who won't be there? We'll find out together between 1 and 4. Adrian Durham on Talksport this Thursday.
Well, that is why Neil Maupay doesn't endear himself to opposition fans, because Jamal Lowe went down injured. Bournemouth put the ball off the pitch for a throw. Normally you'd say Maupay would play it back to the goalkeeper. Instead he's put it close-ish to the corner, right in front of the Everton fans, just making sure Bournemouth can't get out.
Fredericks takes the throw, arches the back, Keane heads it out of play, and it's a second down for Bournemouth over on the far touchline. 2nd and 2. They've made a little bit of progress. And by the time they've nicked a few yards, Ryan Fredericks has probably got a first down again. He's headed away by Keane towards halfway. Marcondes goes up for it. He can't find Lowe, knocked away by Mina. And then stretching in the midfield, Doucouré's in there. He's given a right old shove off the ball by Marcondes. It goes out of play for a throw that will be taken by Everton, which wasn't how Jack Stacey saw it. And a few words just being exchanged, and then Anthony, I don't know whether he's claiming that it was his throw, he just won't release the ball and give it back to Patterson. And the fourth official is having a word, Sonny Gill, just telling him that he knew exactly what was going on, and that's time wasting. And referee Darren England comes across and books him. So he's in the book along with Anthony Gordon. Elsewhere, Leicester 2, Newport 0. Jamie Vardy has got that. I mentioned that there were 4 inside the opening half hour for Bayern Munich side in the Bundesliga. They're 6-1 up against Werder Bremen now with about 5 minutes left at the Allianz Arena in the Bundesliga tonight. This one, we played 72. The rain beginning to come down again. It's Bournemouth 2, Everton 1. Everton have it with McNeil, who will receive the ball on halfway and then fire it out towards the left-hand side for Gray, who off balance and under pressure from Fredericks puts it over the line and out of play. Stayed down, Gray, claiming he was fouled by Fredericks. The referee didn't agree, and it's a throw to Bournemouth rather than a free kick to Everton.
I think Demarai Gray's been brilliant since he's come on. Alex Iwobi, less so. You know, he's lost possession a couple of times. Dwight McNeil struggled to get in the game. That was a really ambitious sort of switch of play from one flank right the way to the other, and Fredericks was already there. Demarai Gray needs a lot better service than that. But certainly he's had a real impact on the game. Great.
Keane heads the ball away. Bournemouth will be able to pick it up on the left-hand touchline. There was Stacey for Rothwell, under pressure from Maupay, and then played by Anthony into McNeil and out for a throw. Throw which will be taken on the Bournemouth left, and Stacey's in no hurry to take it. Stacey given the hurry up now by the referee. Marcondes flicking with the outside of his right boot. Keane heads it away, back out for Stacey again, and goes out of play for an Everton throw. It's been a better night for Bournemouth than their last cup tie here, which ended up in a defeat to non-league Boreham Wood in the FA Cup last season. They're going to make another change with Rothwell coming off, and Sriki Dembele, who's lost all 3 League Cup ties that he's ever played in his career. He's the man that's going to come on. His only appearance this season for the last 15 minutes against Southampton here in a defeat against their local rivals, and Dembele is coming on with 15 minutes to go. Dembele for Rothwell, David Connolly.
Well, it's another attacking change. You know, if you look at the players that they brought on the pitch, Certainly it's not a defensive-minded midfielder, Dembele. Maybe just get Marcondes dropping in alongside Ben Pearson. That looks like it at the minute.
Yeah, Dembele's playing is at 10. The ball goes out to the Everton left. An opportunity potentially for Vinagre to deliver, and Iwobi comes towards the edge of the penalty area. Couldn't get into a shooting position. Was just taken off his toes by Pearson, who's covered so much ground. Travers stops it going out of play for a corner. And then Travers in no hurry to get the ball upfield. The Irishman wasting as much time as he thinks he'll get away with. Mansfield will pull one back at home to Bradford. Will Swan, the youngster on loan from Nottingham Forest, has scored that. The 6th of the season. Mansfield 1, Bradford 2. Mina heading the ball away from the long Travers goal kick upfield, and then Marcondes battling with Neil. It's out of play for an Everton throw. Patterson will come across to take it. Elsewhere in the Carabao Cup, Brentford 1, Gillingham 0, Bristol City 0, Lincoln 3 in the shock of the night. Burnley 1, Crawley 1, Leicester 2, Newport 0, MK Dons 2 up at home to Morecambe. Charlton still trail at Stevenage. The League 2 high flyers, a goal up there. And here it's 2-1 to Bournemouth. The ball is headed away in the midfield over Mope by Stevens. Everton get it back though with Iwobi. Poked out to the left-hand side for Damari Gray. Gray for Iwobi again. Patterson in space on the Everton right. The ball switched the other way down the flank. Stevens comes across and heads it away from Gray, but out of play for a throw, which will be taken by Everton in front of the Everton support over on that far touchline. Remember a great game that I was at here between these two early in Bournemouth's Premier League spell. The first of them, which was 3-3. It was 2-0 to Everton with 10 minutes to go, and it ended 3 apiece, with both sides scoring in stoppage time. I wonder if there's a dramatic climax here. Ball knocked away by Fredericks. Picked up by Michael Keane on halfway for Everton. Mina inside the centre circle. Twists one way, then the other. Anthony's eyes lit up for a moment. He thought he might be able to catch him in possession. He couldn't. And Patterson will just go back inside his own half for the Colombian. Movement ahead of him comes from Mope, who drops short towards the ball. Fires it out towards the left-hand side for Iwobi. Iwobi down the left-hand touchline for Vinagre. Ruben Vinagre into the feet of Damari Gray. Decore showing for it. Everton meaning business now. Much more desire about them in the last 15 minutes. Patterson towards the edge of the penalty area. The feet of Iwobi, but he couldn't waltz his way through. And Marcondes can steer it away. And now Dembele, smallest man on the pitch, but he's quick, and he's got quick feet as well. And he plays it out towards Stacey. Stacey on the left-hand touchline, back for Shrika Dembele again. Dembele towards the edge of the penalty area. 1-2 with Anthony. Low ball fired across, and he's cleared out as far as Marcondes, who puts it in for 3. And it will surely now be Bournemouth who make it through to the last 16. Brilliant play by Dembele. Marcondes had the easy bit to tap it after the initial effort was saved. And it's Bournemouth 3, Everton 1, and any thought of an Everton fight back has surely just disappeared.
Absolutely, Jim. You know, it comes down this left-hand side again, and look, they were knocking on the door, Everton. They were getting close, you've got to say, since the subs and obviously the goal, but you know, Dembele came on. It's an attacking change as well from Gary O'Neill. Everything that he's done tonight has worked, you've got to say. Lovely little give and go, cross, put in low, first effort, save on Jamal Lowe, and there's Marcondes at the back post just to knock it into the net. And as I say, Everton were getting close, they were knocking on the door, but that's now another 2-goal mountain to climb.
And a few Evertonians over on the far touchline are going to make their way home now. 3-1 Bournemouth lead. Marcondes tapping the ball in from close range. His second goal of the season. He scored at Norwich in round 2. He's now scored at home to Everton in round 3. And Everton need 2 goals in the last 11 minutes if they're going to be able to find a way back into this game.
Well, the change that Gary O'Neill made in terms of taking Rothwell off and putting Marcondes on, and he's told him to stay beside Ben Pearson. But what is he doing in the 6-yard box then? Knocking the ball into the net with 10 minutes to go. Well, you know, that's his natural instincts, right? Marcondes wants to be an attacking sort of player. Here's
Gray, just caught by Dembele. And it's going to be a free kick to Everton, about 8 yards outside the penalty area, right of centre. Dembele offering a hand of apology. Well, if Everton are going to be able to find a way back into this game, they might need something from this. Well, they're going to make a double change, Everton. And they're going to bring on two of the youngsters. Two 19-year-olds being prepared for action. A big moment for the young Irishman, Tom Cannon. Born in Aintree, but an Irish under-19 international. 3 goals in 3 games in the EFL Trophy this season. And he comes on for his senior debut. Also on, Stan Mills, the son of Danny Mills, who will be alongside me for Forest against Spurs tomorrow. Stan, a winger, and he too has been in fine form for Everton's under-21s. Gray firing this free kick inside the box, headed away, and Lowe will take it out towards the touchline. And Mills is a very different type of player to his dad, a little bit taller, a blonde hair, much more advanced up the pitch, playing as a winger. He's played off both sides for the 21s this season, where, as I say, he's been in the fine fettle. This man hasn't. For Everton, Michael Keane, he's lost it again. Dembele skipping past him, and it's a chance for 4, but it's taken by Anthony. Game, set, and match. Bournemouth 4, Everton 1, and Everton's miserable November has just hit a new low. Another mistake. Patterson, the player, at fault. And Jadon Anthony got it onto his right foot and fired it low and hard into the bottom right-hand corner. And Bournemouth lead Everton 4-1 in the final 10 minutes.
Well, he just rolled on the ball, and Dembele's come on. He's been so sharp. Brilliant little jink infield, and just laid it on a plate to Anthony. Real composure, fake to shoot, brought it infield, and then just stroked it home with his left foot. Great goal, but I guess that goal kind of sums up Everton tonight. Bit slow, laboured, and they've been dreadful, make no mistake. They look like they might get back in the game, scored a goal, knocked on the door for sort of about a 10-15 minute spell, but make no mistake, Bournemouth been the much better team tonight.
Second of the season for Jadon Anthony, and the second in the space of 4 minutes for Bournemouth. Bournemouth 4, Everton 1. 2 goals in as many minutes for Regan Slater of Hull, who've come from 2-1 down at Cardiff to lead 3-2. Burnley 2, Crawley 1. Anas Zaroury has given Burnley the lead, and Bristol City have pulled one back at home to Lincoln, but they're still 3-1 down going into the final 10 minutes. Tommy Conway's 9th of the season there. Here's Mills losing out, an opportunity for Bournemouth to bring it forward again with Marcondes. Tom Davis slides in and wins it back, doesn't have it back for long, and McNeil, forced to take matters into his own hands, has just thrown Pearson to the floor, and it's going to be a free kick to Bournemouth. Pearson being held back to his feet, and there's an angry reaction from Mina and some verbals, and Pearson trying to get at him is just being held off by his teammates. I don't know what was said there, but Pearson with a very incendiary reaction, and the referee Darren England's just going to have to calm things down.
Well, I mean, he's got a job to calm Ben Pearson down, because obviously he's a man who's had an awful lot of red cards, lives on the edge, plays on the edge, but I mean, it was a bad tackle on him from Dwight McNeil. He's on the floor, and Yerry Mina's just trying to grab him and pull him up with 2 hands, and you just can't do that. Shouldn't be doing that, so no real surprise a player reacts like that, but he got to his feet pretty quick though, didn't he, Ben Pearson?
So Pearson cautioned, Mina booked as well.
I mean, there was a stage, I think at Preston, I can't remember how many games he missed, Ben Pearson. He had so many red cards. A real talented player though. At one stage he was sort of £8-10 million player, and I think in the end he might have left for free or something like that. Yeah. You probably know, Jim. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's all right, I'm going to try and skillfully avoid it. They certainly didn't sell him at the height of his financial powers, but he's done a good job. 50-odd games here for Bournemouth in the midfield. Here's Mills. Clever touch from him. Down the line for Cannon, who's brought down, and that'll be a yellow card as well. Jack Stevens. And he pats Cannon on the back to apologise, but Stevens in the book. There's a good turn from Cannon, good ball from Mills. Yeah,
young whippersnapper is not going to let him get away, so made sure he took him out close to the sideline.
Third yellow card in the space of a minute. Leicester 3, Newport 0. Jamie Vardy's got 2 of them. Free kick to be taken on the Everton right. They trail by 4 goals to 1. And we talked about the potential for tonight being a psychological pointer ahead of the weekend. Listen, they made 20 changes tonight, and you would imagine that there aren't going to be too many of the 22 that have started this evening who'll start at the weekend. But certainly, psychologically, Bournemouth might feel they got Everton's number. In comes the free kick from Gray, headed away. Vinagra's going to be able to bring it down over on the Everton left-hand side. He goes back for Tom Davis. All of the Everton outfield players are in Bournemouth territory. Davis chipping it into space down the right-hand side for Gray, and he's just gone past him and out of play for a goal kick. Rochdale leads Salford in the local derby. Ian Henderson, the veteran, scoring that goal for the Dale. Rochdale 1, Salford 0, and here on the Dorset coast it's Bournemouth 4, Everton 1 with 5 to go.
Well, you mentioned those 11 changes that Lampard made. I mean, say he went back to that team against Leicester, Jim. You know, so that 11, the worst performance of the season. This 11, probably, well, it can't be far off being their worst performance of the season. So what does he do?
Absolutely. Very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very difficult. And he's got some of the 11 that started the weekend are going to be missing. You'd think that Gay and Calvert-Lewin won't be involved. And there's a doubt about Onana as well.
Who's forced their way into the team out there? I mean, obviously, look, Damari Gray would start anyway, right? He's come on, had a really good impact on the game, but
Patterson in the first half probably was the best of a bad job. Might get the nod ahead of Coleman. You never know. Bournemouth might not be happy with 4. Marcondes making his way forward. Mina, who has looked a little bit ring rusty, steps up from the defensive line to get it away. Didn't get it away too far. Lowe picking it up. Lowe back for Christie. And Christie's forced out towards the touchline by Iwobi, who has won it back, and then Iwobi under pressure wins the free kick, and a little angry reaction there as well, and he's running after Marcondes, and Darren England's going to have to go across and try and calm him down. A little bit of bad blood, and when you get 2 games between 2 sides in quick succession, you do get a hangover often from events from the first, tend to carry forward into the second, so interesting to see whether that happens here at the weekend. Bournemouth are going to make more changes now. Their final changes will see Hill and Sadie come on. Christie's the first player that's being withdrawn, and Jamal Lowe is coming off as well. But Dominic Sadie, who signed for West Ham in the summer, he made his debut in the closing seconds against Norwich in round 2, a young midfielder. He'll come on, and so too James Hill, the son of the former Bristol City defender Matt Hill. He's only made 1 brief league appearance for Bournemouth since his move from Fleetwood. He's going to come on for just a couple of minutes of this League Cup tie. Hill on for Lowe, and he'll just be another body back behind the ball in the closing stages. And it is going to be a back 5 again. Hill will move into the middle. He'll play between the 2 existing centre halves, Mepham and Stevens. 4-1 for Bournemouth, 2 minutes to go. Mina for Everton. He's got the ball inside the centre circle. Vinagra made a run. Mina just delayed the pass, and so Vinagra turns and looks disconsolate, back on his heels. Ball goes out towards Gray, back down to the right-hand side and into Mills, wearing 56 here for Everton. Now Damari Gray's got it. Gray out to the left-hand side. Late equaliser for Charlton at Stevenage. Chuksaniki with that goal. Stevenage 1, Charlton 1. Here's Iwobi. And Iwobi down towards McNeil. McNeil's got Patterson making a run on the right-hand side. Mills is waiting in the middle. It's fired in deep towards the far post. Headed away by Fredericks. Out of harm's way. Michael Keane can pick it up. 15 outside the penalty area. Keane clipping it in. Right-footed. Mills comes to meet it, but from an offside position. And it's a free kick. I think the first offside of the night as the game ticks into the 90th minute. Bournemouth 4. Everton 1. Well, they've never played in a major cup semi-final. I know there's still work to do for Bournemouth, but they might look at this cup run and think with a kind draw. There's still a few lower division sides left in it.
Well,
they've got a chance.
Certainly if you can change your team, Jim, and still put on a really fluid performance, you know, as they have done. Contrast that with Everton, really disjointed, you know, play breaking down, uncomfortable in their shape, uncomfortable playing the ball out from the back, whereas Bournemouth, you know, you couldn't really tell that there'd been that many changes, to be honest. So, and look, and if you're Everton, the last game at Goodison for 7 weeks, they were dreadful against Leicester. And, you know, they've got one more game, haven't they, before the break. Back here, I tell you, going to have to put on a much better performance for those travelling fans, that's for sure.
And then their next away game after that is between Christmas and New Year at Manchester City. The Wolves at home, their Boxing Day fixture. Just a couple of extra minutes to be played here. Here's Davis down towards Mina. Mina for Patterson, right in front of us on the Everton right. Mills, good neat control. Sadie won it back though, and here's Tricky Dembele for Bournemouth, played out towards the Bournemouth left for Stacey. Stacey will run towards the edge of the penalty area, trying to slip it down past the side of Patterson for Marcondes, but the whistle's gone, and it's a free kick which will be taken by Everton on the edge of their own penalty area. Bournemouth 4, Everton 1. I have no doubt whatsoever, David, that the better side has won this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jamal Lowe got the man of the match there by the crowd announcer. And he had a good game, didn't he? I mean, I think that goal will be really important for him. I know it took a deflection, but nonetheless, he led the line well, didn't he, on his own up there? But there's plenty of good performances from this Brighton team. They're excellent.
First of 5 different goal scorers tonight. Lowe on 7, Stanislas early in the second half, then Gray pulled one back. Then Marcondes and Anthony in a 4-minute spell made the game safe for Bournemouth. They're just on the back foot here, but Everton really haven't knocked on the door. Keane finding Mina to the right hand side here for McNeil to Mills, and straight back again. Back he goes towards halfway for Yerry Mina. Keane will control it. Keane play forward in the feet of Ruben Vinagre. Vinagre back for Yerry Mina again. Space for Patterson on the right hand side. Mills making an early run forward. He's controlled it neatly, tried to get the cross and it was blocked. Comes back out towards Patterson. Patterson under a little bit of pressure from Stacey. Mina forward towards McNeil. McNeil down towards Mills again. Mills has got Cannon making his way into the middle. Mills has controlled it on the dead ball line. Can he get it across or win a corner? It is the latter. It's come off Sadie. A corner that they will barely be time to take. The 2 minutes of stoppage time all but up. And Dwight McNeil trudges over towards the corner flag and will pick the ball up. Spots it down, and this corner will be the last action of a very disappointing night for Everton. 6 in the middle for him to try and hit, fired in deep, heading high up in the air, outside the penalty area from Pearson, and that is that! Everton eliminated at the third round stage of the Carabao Cup, and well beaten as well by Gary O'Neill's Bournemouth, who started well. Everton had a 10-minute flurry in the first half where they missed 2 great opportunities and forced a good save out of Mark Travers. 2-0 early in the second half. Everton just for a moment when Damari Gray scored looked as though they might be able to get themselves into it, but another defensive error saw Marcondes score. Anthony added a 4th. Another ignominious night as far as Everton are concerned. Bournemouth, who'd lost 4 in a row coming into this, have beaten them 4-1.